Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for our dearly departed review of Premier League matches from round number 27. Of course, we are dealing with our dearly departed teams that I covered in the Championship and looking at how they're going in the Premier League. We do this every week. We're talking Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Leeds, West Brom and Fulham. So if you know what the results were this week, you'll know not many goals for our teams, but we can be quite proud of Fulham this week, whose push at the bottom of the table continues. Don't worry though, plenty of talking points in all of the games. Here were the results. Blue bells as ever by our dearly departed games. It was Burnley 1, Arsenal 1. And then the next two games on Saturday were dearly departed. Sheffield United 0, Southampton 2, Aston Villa 0, Wolves 0 in that derby match. Brighton 1, Leicester 2, which was a good result for our dearly departed teams in the bottom three. Then West Brom 0, Newcastle 0, Liverpool 0, Fulham 1. Brilliant result and brilliant group of results this week for Fulham. Manchester City 0, Manchester United 2, Spurs 4, Palace 1, Chelsea 2, Everton 0, West Ham 2, Leeds 0 was our last dearly departed game. Now, I watched along two of these games, West Brom, Newcastle, which was a bit less memorable than West Ham and Leeds last night. So if you want to see my immediate reaction to anything that happened in any of those games, you actually can if you check either of the watch-alongs on the channel. Let's go through game by game as ever. We will go from the top-ranked team to the lowest-ranked team. So, our first game is Aston Villa 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Tight game last time, wasn't it, between these two? Settled by a late penalty. I think Villa are in this point now where they're still in the top half of the table. We'll look at the tables, obviously, at the end of this. A little bit rocky recently. I think they just want to get Grealish back into the team, Barkley back on form and move towards the shape and obviously type of performance that was in that sort of first third of the season, really pushing Villa up the table. However, we always know that the team that starts the season is never the team that finishes the season. And maybe going forward, this new shape that Villa have been using is what's going to happen. It's just, does Grealish fit into it? I suppose you can just go front left, can't he? Anyway, Martinez in goal. El Mohammadi, you can see Cash is still out. Konza, Mings, Target. Morgan Sanson starting. Have we seen him feature for Villa yet? I don't think we have we? Douglas Luiz and John McGinn. So interesting that one, because McGinn and Douglas Luiz was the central midfield in the double pivot. Add Sanson in there. Maybe they are going to move to a new shape. Sanson is there permanently and Barkley isn't. Traore off the right, Trezeguet off the left. That is where you would put Grealish back into that team. And Watkins up top. For Wolves, Patricio, Dendonka, Cody, Saiss, Semedo, Otto, Moutinho, Neves, Neto, Jose and Traore. 0-0, as I said, but there were chances in this game. Crossbar there, Ollie Watkins, he's miles out. Would have been a hell of a strike. Not quite low enough. Big chance there for Konza, sliding in at the back post, hits the crossbar again. So would work twice for Villa. However, huge chance. I think that is Saiss, isn't it? Right on the goal line from the set players coming across. Any reasonable touch on that, push towards the goal and he scores. Can't quite get there, can he? Connor Cody as well. It's a good save actually by Martinez, who's been great for Villa, hasn't he? And he gets down well, makes the save to his left. So, no goals in this one. The XG, you can see on the right, is very heavily in Wolves' favour with those two penalty box chances. 51-49 Wolves on the possession, 2 shots to 1 on target. Let's just call it the archetypal tight game. It ended 0-0. We know the first one was like this. Both of these teams know how to defend, and both of these teams are good in a game state where they need to be passive or where the other team is being passive, which makes them more passive. So a fairly predictable outcome, perhaps. There's the table. Villa still in the top half, 40 points. This kind of mythical total, which is probably never true if you actually do the numbers, especially this season. If you've got 40 points, you're going to be way above relegation, aren't you? I suspect. Villa, are they going to stay in there? Are they going to stay in ninth? A couple of games in hand on Liverpool. Game in hand on the next 3 as well. But just stay in there, Villa. Stay in the top 10 and it represent a great season. Wolves, not quite hitting the heights of the previous 2, but they are a viable Premier League proposition now. And Villa have taken 4 points off them. And we wait and see if Captain Jack is going to be back and how he's fitted back into that team, and whether Dean Smith sticks now with the 4-3-3. Get your thoughts in the comments. Aston Villa 0, Wolves 0. Last night it was Leeds versus West Ham. It's West Ham 2, Leeds 0. I have many times on this channel this season called West Ham, not Manchester City, West Ham, the scourge of the dearly departed, because they've just beaten the dearly departed over and over again. I think 1 draw from Fulham, and there must be 7 or 8 wins for West Ham, who have just dominated our dearly departed teams. And they win 2-0 last night against Leeds. Again, you can watch my reaction. I watched the whole game live as a watch, so you can watch my reaction on any of the action during the watch. I can pick out bits and bobs in there. Let's go through the teams. Calvin Phillips returns. So Meslier in goal. Ayling, Llorente, Cooper and Dallas. Phillips into the deep line playmaker spot. Costa and Rafinha wide. Robertson Click central. Bamford up top. Rodrigo also returning to the bench. So just got to get Robin Koch back, and then actually a full strength team or squad, first 16. And this idea, people ask me a lot about Leeds and how they're going to improve, and I feel a bit badly because they have invested big money in a couple of players, Koch and Rodrigo particularly. It feels like they can't get them on the pitch, and that's the key, especially if I want to add another couple next season. And we're assuming Premier League football there, of course. West Ham having a great season, aren't they? Fabianski, Cresswell and Soufal full-backs, Dawson and Diop centre-backs, Soucek and Rice double pivot, Fornals and Benrahma wide with Lingard off, Antonio and Ogbonna, Masuaki, you can see down the bottom, missing from their defence. So we should point out injured players for both teams. Everybody gets them. This was really irritating game. Really irritating because Leeds start pretty well. They had the ball in the net a couple of times. Okay, offside. And then Rafinha cut the ball back and it had already gone out of play before Bamford stuck in. It was a good start by Leeds. And then literally the first sign of danger, Luke Ayling does that. Oh, it's so frustrating. Good play by Benrahma and Lingard. Lingard into the box. It's just a lazy leg. Lingard knocks it past him. Draws the foul from Ayling. Penalty. Lingard misses the penalty, or rather the penalty is saved. Follows it up. Sticks it in the net. And obviously we're going to conclude at the end of this. The game was won and lost in the penalty boxes. And yeah, first thing that Leeds didn't do well in their own penalty box was, obviously you've got to engage Lingard as he's coming into the box, but stay with him, try and block the shot. Just, trying to win the ball in that manner did feel a little bit foolhardy by Luke Ayling, who of course I'm a big fan of, but not his greatest tackle ever. And, oh dear. Literally minutes later, it's Craig Dawson on the back post and Cresswell's put it in. And, I'm sure we'll go down the narrative. West Ham are good at set plays. Leeds are bad at set plays. It's just so simple. Llorente is with Dawson. They both run. Llorente's watching the ball. Dawson runs off the back of him. He's lost him. Header, goal, 2-0. Bosh, we know West Ham can defend. Game state changed in an immeasurably undesirable way against Leeds here. Not good defending for either goal, really. But in the second half, there are two really good chances for Pat Bamford. There's the first one, and I just criticised Llorente, so I'll give him great credit. Brilliant ball through for Bamford. He's had a great season, hasn't he? He's got to score that, especially on the left foot as well. I get that Fabianski's position is pretty good in terms of the curler around him, but he just seems to over-engineer the shot. He's got snatches at it, hits it too hard, and wide it goes. And look at that one. Cut back by Raphinha, and on the right foot this time. And I said at the time on the watch-along, from that position, that trajectory, it seemed harder to get it up and over the bar than hit the target. And I think if he hits the target, he's probably scoring that one, isn't he? And just a frustrating night in the two penalty boxes for Leeds. Didn't defend well for those two West Ham goals. Yes, we should point out who hit the bar. Fornals hit the bar, didn't he, for West Ham as well. And there you go. Look at that. Leeds 1.53 on the XG and didn't get a goal. West Ham's number is probably slightly artificially high because the penalty was missed and then the rebound's put in. So obviously, yeah, they are two big chances in quick succession, but there's not a lot you can do once the penalty's given about actually conceding those two big chances. So I know I'm ifs, buts and maybes, but if you take the penalty out of the equation, Leeds probably higher on the actual XG and the chance creation. Obviously, that doesn't reflect the game state that West Ham can go 2 up and then sit in and draw Leeds on. I do understand that from a Hammers point of view. 5 shots to 2 on target, 4 big chances to 2. And we know the 4 big chances were penalty, rebound, Dawson header. And again, I haven't mentioned Dawson hit the post towards the end of the first half from another header. So it does seem fairly straightforward that if Leeds had been better defending the set plays and Ailing hadn't thrown himself into that tackle, we're talking about Fornals shooting from 30 yards and hitting the bar, aren't we? So it's a frustrating one because it is in the end a comfortable win for West Ham, but you can very directly identify where the conceded chances came from, and then you can very clearly look in the second half. Yes, I know West Ham may not have been sat back in the same way if they weren't 2-0 up. I do understand how game state changes context, but a couple of good chances for Bamford. I thought Raphinha was good in the second half for Leeds as well. So infuriating, I think, irritating, frustrating. Well, it's that type of thing rather than inept or bad or whatever. It's just annoying performance by Leeds. And sort of chatting away with the Leeds fans, perhaps with Bielsa and this team, there is just a sense now that the cycle that did start in the summer of 2018, maybe the cycle is running on into the end of the third year for some of these players, and perhaps if they do stay up, which we'll look at the table in a second, which they're going to, and they drop good money on another couple of good players, you might start to see a team now with Koch, Llorente, Raphinha, whoever the two players are, and then you keep Bamford going, keep Phillips going, you add a few players in alongside that, and I think the team's going to start to develop into the Bielsa Premier League team soon. Feels like we're now knowing they're probably going to stay up in transition between the Bielsa Championship team and the Bielsa Premier League team. Still, big picture is very good, isn't it? 35 points from 27. Points parity, they're only 3 points off the 38 points for a point per game for the entire season. Obviously, Leeds fans have been used to way higher than that in the Championship. Just a recalibration of expectations, I guess. But, if you look at it, to get close to 50 points, they were to win another 4 games from the remaining... how many have they got to go? 11. 4 from 11, and they're at 47 points. So I suspect that's a reasonable target around that 50-point mark from the remaining 11 games. West Ham, we do need to congratulate them on a brilliant season and just destroying the dearly departed. 48 points, 5th spot. Wonder if they can get up there in Europe with Everton, Tottenham, Liverpool, the 3 teams directly behind them. Let me know your thoughts on that one. West Ham 2, Leeds 0. Liverpool 0, Fulham 1 is our next game. And this we can be excited about with our dearly departed hat on. Excellent stuff from Fulham now for a fair, sustained length of time. It feels like Parker ditched the Championship players a few games into this season, started to build. The team then looked better but drew a ton of games and couldn't win. And now, this trend is now, okay, new team developing, team starting to score points and looking like viable Premier League survivors. And we had that run of 8 points in 4 games, didn't we? A defeat against Spurs, but they've won again. And you win again, in the words of the Bee Gees. The gap is closing, and Fulham have gone from looking like not very viable survivors to, well, they've now got a good chance of surviving if the trends down at the bottom of the table continue. There's your Fulham team. Areola, Tete, Iain, fullbacks, Anderson, Adarabio, centre-backs, Reed and Lookman wide, the other Reed and Lamina central, Cavaliero and Madja up top. Scott Parker said he wanted to stretch Liverpool, wanted to try and get in behind, and Liverpool is just odd at the moment, isn't it? And it was a kind of odd-looking Liverpool team because, yes, I accept, look, Matip, Van Dijk, Henderson, Gomez, all out. Obviously, Fabinho, I think, on the bench then. Mane on the bench. Firmino, excuse pronunciation, on the bench. So the team was Alisson, Robertson, fine. But then Williams, Phillips and Williams is the back 4. Wow. Milner, fine, okay. Wijnaldum, fine. Keita, capable. And then the fabled front 3 is not together. Jota has been good, hasn't he? Salah, obviously, is one of them. Shaqiri in there. Very unfamiliar look to that Liverpool team, who are going to lose their 6th consecutive home game. And before Fulham score, good chance for Lookman there. There was a chance for Madja as well before that. Here's the goal just before half-time. Lamina takes it off Salah's toe, and he slaps that one in with the right foot into the far corner past Alisson in the goal. So there's the goal before half-time. The numbers tell us that Fulham were defending for a lot of the second half, but Liverpool didn't create too many in the way of big chances. Why? Well, because Mane, showing his quality there, he's obviously off the bench, heads it, hits the bar. Doesn't count as a shot on target, does it? And neither does this, because it's squared up for Mane. Great tackle late on by Anderson. And Fulham hang on and get the win. And look at the numbers. It's a viable performance. 0 big chances for Liverpool from 16 shots. 1 big chance to 0 from Fulham. And look down on the XG, 1.63 to 0.98. It's a good performance by Fulham. Obviously, we know that the first half was very different to the second half, and with the nature of some of the substitutions and where the territory was in the game. But Fulham played it really, really well, didn't they? And now, if we look at the table, how has that changed? We can now add on to that 8 points in 4 games, another 4 points from the last 3 games. So 8 points in 4 games plus 4 points in 3 is 12 points from 7 games. And if you look, Brighton have got 2 points in the last 5. Newcastle have got 5 in 5, and they are at points parity. Brighton have just dropped below points parity with 26 from 27. And Fulham are right in there. So Fulham 26, Brighton 26, Newcastle 27. You've got to look at the trends, though. You really, really have to. Newcastle is a long-term trend down. Brighton was a... Brighton you'd think more would be more likely, full name of words, to stay up on the basis that the trend was quite high up, quite high down. So there is the potential to get another lift from Brighton. They seem to have more capability than Newcastle at the moment. Those are the two you look at, because Newcastle is a long-term trend down. And honestly, Fulham's is from bottoming out at the start of the season and, Parker pretty much bombing out basically his entire championship team. When you think about it, only, Harrison Reed's in there, Ivan Cavaliero's in there, Bobby Reed. It's about it, isn't it? But I'm not seeing Hector, Reem, Brian, Ruddock, Kearney, Mitrovic. Knockouts at Forest, for goodness sake. Do you know what I mean? And the long-term trend is up. So could we have a 6-team dearly departed next season? We thought we were going to lose 3 this season. Does not look like it. Tip of the cap to Fulham. Good current form. Can they keep it up? If they do, and the trends continue, particularly with Newcastle and with Fulham could stay up. Get your thoughts in the comments on Liverpool 0, Fulham 1. West Brom v Newcastle. I did this as a watch-along, and this game has been universally panned, so I'm not going to say much. It was 0-0. It was Bruce v Allardyce. I have to say, in deference to West Brom, they seemed more active and Newcastle seemed more passive. But given the context of the game, that was an okay thing for Newcastle to do, because they've got the points advantage and are higher in the table. Although Fulham are coming like a train, we know. Look, it wasn't a good watch. There are the teams. Johnston, Furlong, O'Shea, Bartley, Townsend, Ajayi can't get back in. Yokuslu in front. Phillips and Pereira wide. Gallagher and Maitland-Niles central with Diagne up top. For Newcastle, Dubravka, Kraft and Dummett fullbacks, Lascelles and Clark centre-backs. And the 3 holding midfielders, Hendrick, Shelvey, Hayden. Low block executed by Newcastle. Willock off Joe Linton and Fraser up top. And you can see the injured players, Almiron, Saint-Maximin, Wilson, all on the injured list. And yeah, I suppose Steve Bruce would point to that, although the intentions did not look massively attacking. There are the numbers. 0 big chances for Newcastle in the game. 2 for West Brom. 52-48 in West Brom's favour as well. And look, XG gives us 1.87 to 0.7 in respects of West Brom. We've seen Allardyce win tight games right through his career like this, hasn't he, with a set play or something of that nature. But it was just immovable object versus immovable object, wasn't it? And not very irresistible force against immovable object. Here's the table. We pointed out in the sort of Fulham chat that Newcastle is a long-term trend down. Points parity now, 27 from 27. Will they drop below it? Will they finish with less than 38 points this season? And can Fulham get there in their remaining 10 games? West Brom, 8 points off. And although Big Sam is not losing games now, and he is keeping clean sheets, he's going to need, let's do a bit of quick maths. If he wins, let's give him 3 wins in the next 4. Give him 3 wins and a defeat. He's on 27 from 32. So even that splurge of wins, it looks unlikely now for West Brom. And if we do a big projection, 10 games to go. If they were to win half of those games, that takes them to 33. There you go. We can do some very basic maths. 2 points per game now. So win, draw, win, draw, win, draw for the rest of the season would take West Brom to 38. We'll see how many Fulham get and we'll see how many Newcastle get. It looks very tough for Big Sam and West Brom. Is he going to be in the Championship? Are West Brom going to be in the Championship? Are either or both of them going to be in the Championship? You let me know in the comments. West Brom 0, Newcastle 0. And finally, Sheffield United 0, Southampton 2. And if it's looking unlikely for West Brom, then by proxy, it's looking even more unlikely for Sheffield United, who lose again for, well, we'll get the number, but many defeats this season. They lose at home to Southampton, who'd been sliding, so that says something in itself, doesn't it? Ramsdale in goal. Again, look at the back three. Baldock, Ampadu and Brian. Look on the injured list. O'Connell, Egan, Basham. All there. Robinson could have even been used at centre-half. So really struggling for centre-backs now. No disrespect to any of those players who played. They're not the first choice. And Baldock isn't even a centre-back. And I'm sure Ampadu was brought in as a midfielder, wasn't he? Anyway, Stevens and Bogle wide. Fleck, Norwood, Lundstrom, century. Still missing Berger there. McGoldrick, Brewster up top. For Saints, Forster, Walker-Peters and Bertrand. Fullbacks, Bednarek and Vestergaard, centre-backs. Armstrong and Minamino wide. Diallo, Ward-Prowse, central. Ings, Teller up top. And, viable performance by Southampton here. Penalty, I got the ball, ref, is the normal shout here. But in 2021, we know that Ampadu sliding in from behind, I think that is Teller, isn't it? Yes, he does get something on the ball, but you can see he's getting both of Teller's legs as well. And you can watch the direction of the ball, you can point at the ball, but you know they're going to give a pen for that, don't you? Ward-Prowse, obviously, great set play guy, sticks it in. I mean, I was talking about this in terms of the new laws, because there was one at Sheffield Wednesday, actually, talking about Sheffield clubs, where Burner shoves push gas with his hands. I would rather you do what Ampadu did, slide in, because at least you know you're not going to get sent off because you can argue a deliberate attempt to play the ball. Just seems silly to be going to ground and sliding in. You really have to cleanly swipe that ball away and not leave anything on the player nowadays, don't you, in terms of slide tackles. And I know Blades fans won't be too fond, given the identity of the goal scorer here, but it's a great goal by Jay Adams. It's poor from Lundstrom, though, isn't he? He kind of tries to dink it out. You can see Brewster there. He tried to clip it out into the channel when there's a sort of defensive action going on. And we know about Hasenhüttl and pressing high up the pitch, etc. And obviously haven't been doing it very well. It's headed out to Adams. Great strike that. Look where he puts it. Top corner, hits it really hard, really true. 2-0. And that's game over, isn't it? That's Adams again. Probably could have added a third chance from Minamino as well. And yeah, viable performance. 50-50 on the possession, but 7 shots to 2 on target. 3 big chances to 2. But then look at the XG. Obviously, the penalty ramps it up, 0.77 on that, but 2.10, to 0.89, just conceding too much in the way of chances. And that's taken into account that it was a bit of a worldy second goal as well. I'm doing my resigned voice here because Sheffield United have 14 points from 28 games, so 0.5 points per game means they're projecting 19 by the end of the season. So they're going to be well and truly adrift if the trend of the first 28 games continues in the last 10 games. There was a little push, and we did say, oh, well, they've gone like that a bit. Mad run. We get 4 wins in 6 games or something. I don't know. But they're down, aren't they? 12 points off of the relegation safety position there. Brighton at 17th with 10 games to go. Southampton 33 from 27. They look far enough away to not be too worried, but still any kind of terrifying bad run could see them down there. Get your views in the comments on that one. Sheffield United 0, Southampton 2. That is our show. Thank you to our fan sponsor, Jay. J. Coyle, dearly departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us, absolutely not. And we have enjoyed these shows, and there is the possibility now, I'd kind of resigned myself to the fact that there would be 5 teams again next season, but could have Villa look safe, Leeds look safe, and Fulham trending upwards. I wonder whether we could have 6 next season. As always, thank you for watching. You can support via Patreon and all of that good stuff. It will say in the ad afterwards. And I will see you very soon for some more dearly departed action. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.